She laughed. Not a polite laugh. Not a nervous one. It was sharp, confident, and loud enough that the entire landing bay heard it. The human stood alone beneath the massive alien arches, his worn exploration suit humming softly as it struggled to balance pressure and heat. The suit was bulky, scratched, and clearly old, patched more times than it should have survived. Compared to the sleek armor of the alien delegation, it looked almost embarrassing. The alien woman stepped forward, tall and radiant, her skin shimmering with faint violet patterns that shifted as she moved. Her eyes glowed faint gold, and her ceremonial armor looked grown rather than built, smooth, elegant, and terrifyingly advanced. "That is what your people wear," she said, amusement dripping from every word. "I expected more, from a species that survived its own extinction cycles." Around her, alien officials chuckled. Some openly stared. Others whispered. The human did not react. He did not bow. He did not argue. He did not apologize. Captain Rowan Vale simply adjusted the seal on his wrist and let the laughter finish. When silence finally returned, he lifted his visor just enough for his eyes to be seen. Calm. Focused. Unshaken. "This suit," Rowan said evenly, "was never designed to impress you." The alien woman tilted her head, still smiling. "Then what was it designed for?" Rowan met her gaze. "To keep a fragile human alive, while standing in places we were never meant to survive." Something shifted. Not in the room, but in her. The smile hesitated. Rowan continued, his voice steady, quiet, but carrying. "Every dent on this suit marks a place that tried to kill me. And failed." The room fell silent. The alien woman's eyes narrowed, no longer amused. "You speak boldly for someone so exposed." Rowan nodded once. "That's because humans learn something early." He tapped the chest plate of his suit. "We don't rely on perfection. We rely on adaptation." Her expression changed. Slowly. Subtly. This was not the response she expected. She studied him again, not as entertainment, but as a variable. "I am High Commander Selrix of the Varelian Concord," she said. "And you stand before the most advanced alliance in this quadrant." Rowan sealed his visor fully and inclined his head just enough to be respectful. "Then I'm glad I wore my lucky suit." A pause. "Lucky?" she asked. "It survived worse meetings," Rowan replied. For the first time, a few aliens didn't laugh. They watched. Later that cycle, Rowan was escorted through the alien city of Prismar. Towers of living crystal pulsed softly with energy, and airborne transports moved like schools of glowing fish above the streets. Every surface hummed with intelligence. Rowan's suit looked even more out of place here. And yet, people stared. Not because it was weak. Because it was human. Selrix walked beside him, her long strides effortless. "Your technology is crude," she said. "Yet you crossed forbidden space without our guidance." "We had good maps," Rowan replied. "And bad luck." She glanced at him. "Luck does not explain survival." "No," he agreed. "Choices do." They stopped before a massive observation platform overlooking a dead star, collapsed, dark, and unstable. "You know why we summoned a human?" Selrix asked. Rowan folded his arms. "You ran out of volunteers." She didn't smile. "The star will collapse fully within one cycle. Our models predict total failure." Rowan studied the star. Quiet. Dangerous. Familiar. "You want someone expendable," he said. "We want someone creative," she corrected. "Your people are known for doing the impossible with broken tools." Rowan looked down at his suit. "Good," he said. "Because this thing breaks twice a day." She turned to face him fully. "If you fail, you die." Rowan nodded. "That's usually how it works." Selrix searched his face for fear. She didn't find it. Instead, she found curiosity. And that disturbed her more than fear ever could. As Rowan walked toward the shuttle that would take him closer to the dying star, whispers followed him. Not laughter. Questions. And somewhere deep in Selrix's mind, a single thought formed: unwelcome, dangerous, and impossible to ignore. What if the human wasn't fragile at all, but simply underestimated? The shuttle shook as it pierced the outer edge of the dying star's gravity field. Warning lights flickered across the control panel, bathing the cabin in red pulses. Rowan Vale sat strapped into the lone human seat, his old spacesuit humming louder now, compensating, adjusting, complaining like it always did. "Easy, easy," Rowan muttered, patting the armrest. "I know. I don't like this either." Across from him, Commander Selrix stood perfectly balanced despite the violent motion. Her magnetic boots locked to the floor, her expression calm, unreadable. But her eyes kept drifting back to Rowan, not the controls, not the star outside, but him. "You are strangely relaxed," she said. Rowan glanced out the viewport. The star looked wrong. Not bright, not burning, but swollen and dark at the core, like something holding its breath before screaming. "I've been more scared ordering street food on Mars," he said. She studied him again. "You joke in the presence of extinction." Rowan shrugged. "Humans joke because of extinction. Keeps us from freezing up." The shuttle lurched hard. Selrix finally gripped a rail. "Your confidence is inefficient." "It's not confidence," Rowan replied. "It's practice." They reached the station orbiting the dying star, a half-built alien megastructure, abandoned after too many drones were lost. Massive metal petals surrounded a hollow core, scorched and warped. Inside that structure was the problem. The core stabilizer was failing. Alien science said it was impossible to fix manually. Human history disagreed. As they docked, Selrix spoke quietly. "Our engineers calculated a 0-point chance of survival." Rowan stood, suit joints whining. "Good thing I'm bad at math." The station interior was silent except for the deep groan of stressed metal. Emergency lights cast long shadows across corridors that were never meant for walking beings. Everything here was designed for machines. Selrix moved ahead, precise and alert. Rowan followed, slower but determined. "You could still turn back," she said without looking at him. Rowan shook his head. "If I turn back now, my species stays a punchline." She paused. "That matters to you." "It matters to us," Rowan said. They reached the stabilizer chamber. At its center floated a massive energy lattice, cracked and unstable, leaking waves of distorted gravity. Tools lay scattered, alien, elegant, useless. Selrix scanned the damage. The harmonic balance is lost. Once the core collapses, the star follows. Rowan crouched, studying the lattice with human eyes. Not faster, not smarter, just different. "This thing's too perfect," he said. Selrix frowned. "Perfection is efficiency." "Perfection is brittle," Rowan replied. "You ever bend metal back and forth until it snaps?" She didn't answer. Rowan activated his suit's external interface, projecting messy, overlapping human schematics onto the alien system. "What are you doing?" Selrix demanded. "Breaking your rules," he said calmly. The system resisted at first. Warnings flashed. Alien logic rejected human input. Rowan forced it. "Human designs assume failure," he explained. "We build expecting things to go wrong." The lattice flared violently. Selrix stepped closer. "If you destabilize it further." "It's already dying," Rowan said. "I'm just giving it room to breathe." He rerouted energy flows unevenly. Imperfect. Ugly. But stable. For a moment, the chamber held its breath. Then the vibrations softened. The lattice stopped screaming. Selrix stared. "That should not work," she whispered. Rowan wiped sweat from his brow inside the helmet. "Yeah. That's what they told us about flight, fire, electricity, and space." Alarms blared again, new ones. External sensors screamed warnings. The star reacted. Gravity surged. The station shook violently. "We must evacuate." Selrix shouted. Rowan secured the final clamp. "Almost done." A violent wave slammed through the chamber. Rowan was thrown backward, crashing into a wall. His suit sparked. Systems flickered. Selrix moved instantly, grabbing him, anchoring them both. For the first time, her grip was tight, not commanding, but afraid. "Rowan," she said sharply, "if you die here." He looked up at her glowing eyes through cracked visor glass. "Then remember this," he said. "We weren't mocking you. We were showing you how we survive." The stabilizer locked. The alarms fell silent. Outside, the star stabilized, still dangerous, but no longer collapsing. The impossible had happened. Silence filled the chamber. Selrix slowly released him. She looked at the system. Then at Rowan. Then she bowed. Not formally. Not ceremonially. But genuinely. "I laughed at you," she said. "I judged you by appearance." Rowan sat up, groaning. "Happens a lot." "You faced death calmly," she continued. "You challenged our science without arrogance." Rowan smiled faintly. "Humans don't win by being the strongest. We win by refusing to quit." Selrix straightened, her voice firm. "This changes everything." When they returned to the alien city, news spread faster than light. The human had done what their machines could not. The laughter was gone. In its place was something new. Respect. And fear. Because the galaxy had just learned a dangerous truth. Humans did not need perfect technology. They needed courage, curiosity, and the nerve to speak calmly when the universe laughed at them. And this was only the beginning. The city of Prismar did not sleep. It listened. Lights shifted along crystal towers as data rippled through the Concord's networks. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. Displays recalculated probabilities that had not changed in centuries. A human had stabilized a dying star. Not with superior technology. Not with force. But with imperfection. Rowan Vale sat alone in a quiet medical chamber, his damaged spacesuit hanging open beside him like a shed skin. His knuckles were scraped. His shoulder throbbed. But he was alive. Which, according to alien math, should not have happened. Selrix stood behind a translucent barrier, watching him without speaking. For the first time since their meeting, her ears were completely still. "You should be resting," she finally said. Rowan glanced up. "I am. This is my thinking face." "That is unsettling," she replied. He smiled. "Get used to it." She stepped inside. The barrier shimmered shut behind her. "Our council is divided," Selrix said. "Some call you a miracle. Others call you a threat." Rowan leaned back. "That's fair." "You altered a core law of our engineering philosophy," she continued. "You introduced asymmetry where balance was required." Rowan shook his head. "No. I introduced flexibility where rigidity failed." She studied him. "Your species embraces failure." "We learn from it," Rowan said. "Big difference." Selrix exhaled slowly. "The Council has ordered a full evaluation of human methodology." Rowan raised an eyebrow. "You're going to audit chaos?" Her lips twitched. "That is precisely the problem." The evaluation began the next cycle. Alien scientists presented flawless equations. Perfect simulations. Systems that worked, until they didn't. Rowan responded with whiteboards full of crossed-out ideas, half-finished thoughts, and handwritten notes that said things like "probably a bad idea and try anyway." The aliens were horrified. "This violates efficiency protocols," one researcher snapped. Rowan nodded. "Yep. It wastes resources." "Also yep. Then why do it?" Rowan tapped the board. "Because when everything fails, we still have options." Silence followed. An elder analyst finally spoke. "Your designs assume incompetence." "They assume reality," Rowan replied. Hours turned into cycles. The aliens began to see patterns, not in perfection, but in survival. Meanwhile, something darker stirred. Beyond Prismar, Within the shadowed reaches of unclaimed space, another civilization watched the data feed. The Car Dominion. They had tried to destroy the dying star. They had expected the Concorde to fail. Now they saw something worse. Humans. Confirm the source, snarled a car commander, its form encased in brutal angular armor. Confirmed, replied a subordinate. Human intervention. The commander's claws tightened. Then humanity is no longer irrelevant. Back on Prisma, Selrix stood before the council. The human must be protected, she said firmly. He represents a shift in galactic dynamics. Others argued. Some feared dependence. Others feared contamination of alien doctrine. Then the warning arrived. An emergency transmission. Car warships had entered Concorde space. They demand the human, an aide announced. Alive. Rowan listened from the chamber doorway. He stepped forward before anyone could stop him. Tell them no, he said calmly. Selrix turned sharply. You are not a bargaining chip. Rowan met her gaze. Then let me be a problem. The council chamber erupted in argument. Rowan raised his voice, not loud, but steady. They are scared, he said. Because humans change the equation. And bullies don't like variables they can't predict. Selrix watched him. This was no fragile envoy. This was defiance wrapped in calm. The council voted. Humanity would not be surrendered. The Car Dominion declared hostility. Sirens echoed across Prisma. Ships mobilized. Weapons armed. Selrix faced Rowan privately before the first engagement. You will be targeted, she warned. Rowan sealed his suit once more. It hissed, complained, and locked into place. Story of my life. She placed a hand against the metal of his chest plate, not mockery this time. You changed me, she said quietly. Rowan tilted his helmet slightly. I get that a lot. As the first car vessels appeared on the horizon, something unprecedented happened across the Concorde. Alien engineers copied human redundancy. Commanders requested human advisors. Civilians watched broadcasts of a species that laughed at fear and stood anyway. And somewhere among the stars, humanity's reputation shifted. Not as conquerors. Not as gods. But as the species that remained calm when laughed at, and refused to disappear when challenged. The battle had not yet begun. But the galaxy already knew one thing. Mocking humanity had consequences. And this time, the humans were ready. The first shots of the war were silent. No explosions. No fire. Just space bending as Car Dominion warships crossed into Concorde territory, their hulls dark and angular, built not for beauty, but for domination. They moved with terrifying precision, like blades sliding toward a throat that did not yet know it was exposed. Prisma's defense grid activated instantly. Alien commanders barked orders. Energy shields flared. Drones launched in perfect formations. And then the car attacked anyway. They did not target weapons. They targeted systems. Communication arrays collapsed. Shield harmonics destabilized. Perfect machines failed all at once. Panic rippled through the Concorde fleet. Selrix stood on the command platform, her posture rigid, her eyes sharp. They studied us, she said. They know our patterns. Rowan Vale floated beside her in a modified command harness, his old spacesuit patched yet again, wires exposed where alien engineers had tried, and failed, to fully understand it. They always do, Rowan said calmly. That's the problem with perfection. It's predictable. A car energy lance tore through a Concorde cruiser, slicing it cleanly in half. The silence afterward was worse than any scream. Selrix clenched her jaw. Our simulations never accounted for this level of disruption. Rowan watched the tactical display. Lines flickered. Predictions collapsed. Because you simulated victory, he said. Not survival. She turned toward him. Then tell me how humans survive this. Rowan exhaled slowly. We stopped trying to win clean. He tapped the console, uploading a human combat doctrine the aliens had rejected earlier. Decentralized command, he said. Break formation. Introduce randomness. An officer protested. That will create inefficiency. Rowan nodded. Exactly. Selrix hesitated for half a breath. Then she gave the order. Everything changed. Concorde ships broke formation. Some powered down weapons entirely. Others rerouted engines unpredictably. Drones stopped following elegant patterns and began acting independently. The car targeting systems stuttered. Their weapons missed. Confusion rippled through the enemy fleet. What is happening? A car commander snarled. They are not behaving logically, came the reply. Rowan smiled grimly. Welcome to humanity. A car boarding vessel breached Prismar's outer ring. Selrix turned to Rowan. If they reach the core. They won't, Rowan said, already moving. Inside the station corridors, gravity fluctuated wildly. Emergency lights flickered as car soldiers poured through breach points. Tall, brutal forms with layered armor and weapons that pulsed with dark energy. Rowan led a small mixed team, alien guards, engineers, and one human. He looked ridiculous next to them. And yet, they followed him. Okay, Rowan said over the comms, voice steady. We don't stop them head on. We slow them down. One alien stared. By what method? Rowan glanced at the exposed conduits lining the walls. By breaking things on purpose. They sabotaged their own station. Corridors collapsed. Gravity reversed unexpectedly. Lights went out, then blazed back on at full intensity. The car advance stalled. They're destabilizing their own environment, a car soldier hissed. Yes, their commander replied slowly. That is unacceptable behavior. Rowan ducked behind a bulkhead as plasma fire scorched the air. His suit screamed warnings. He ignored them. Redirect coolant through the floor, he shouted. An engineer hesitated. That will freeze half the sector. Good, Rowan said. Cold slows reaction time. It worked. Car troops slipped. Sensors failed. Their armor, designed for controlled battlefields, struggled. Selrix arrived moments later, blade in hand, moving with lethal grace. She watched Rowan jam a manual override with a tool clearly not designed for it. You enjoy this chaos, she observed. Rowan didn't look up. I enjoy surviving. Together, they pushed forward. Above them, the Concorde fleet began turning the tide. Not through superior firepower, but through unpredictability. Car ships collided when forced to adapt too quickly. Their rigid command hierarchy fractured under decentralized resistance. The car dominion retreated. Not defeated, but shaken. When silence finally returned, Prisma was scarred, but standing. Selrix addressed the council hours later. We did not win by being stronger, she said. We won by changing. Her gaze shifted briefly to Rowan. The human method saved us. The council agreed. Human advisors were integrated across Concorde systems. Human thinking, messy, adaptive, fearless, spread. Rowan stood alone later, overlooking the city. Selrix joined him. I mocked you, she said softly, because I believed strength must look impressive. Rowan stared at the stars. Most real strength doesn't. She nodded. The car will return. Rowan smiled faintly. So will we. Somewhere far away, car leaders studied footage of the battle. This species is dangerous, one hissed. Because they refuse to behave correctly, another replied. No, the commander said. Because they remain calm when laughed at, and become unstoppable when threatened. The galaxy was changing. And humanity was no longer a joke. Only one part remained. The moment where everything would be tested. The moment humanity would decide what kind of power it truly was. The galaxy did not calm down after the battle. It held its breath. Across Concorde space, damaged stations were repaired using a strange new hybrid method, alien precision reinforced with human redundancy. Systems no longer failed all at once. They bent. They adapted. They survived. And everywhere, one phrase spread quietly through alien channels. Human thinking. Rowan Vale did not enjoy the attention. He stood once again on the observation platform above Prisma, his old spacesuit patched so many times it barely resembled its original design. New plates had been added, not sleek or beautiful, but functional. Every addition told a story of failure turned into survival. Selrix joined him, her armor simpler now, less ceremonial. "The Council has voted," she said. "They wish to formally invite humanity into the Concord." Rowan let out a slow breath. "That sounds expensive." She almost smiled. "They want humans involved in engineering, defense, exploration, even governance." Rowan looked at the stars. "You sure you're ready for that?" Selrix followed his gaze. "After seeing what happens when humans are excluded? Yes." A warning light blinked. An incoming transmission. Car Dominion. Selrix's posture stiffened. "They should not dare." "They're not attacking," Rowan said quietly, reading the signal. "They are talking." The message projected into the air. A car envoy appeared, tall, armored, restrained. "Human representative," it said. "We request negotiation." Selrix turned sharply. This could be a trap. Rowan nodded. "Probably." "Then why accept?" Rowan smiled behind the visor. "Because humans don't only survive war. We survive after it." The meeting took place on neutral ground, a barren moon with no atmosphere and no advantage. Rowan stood alone. No weapons. No escort. Just the suit they once laughed at. The car envoy studied him. "You should fear us." Rowan tilted his helmet. "I do. Fear keeps us honest. You disrupted our strategy. You humiliated our doctrine." Rowan shrugged. "You underestimated us. Happens a lot." The envoy's claws tightened. "Why did you not pursue our retreat?" Rowan answered calmly. "Because winning doesn't mean destroying everyone who loses." Silence stretched. "That is illogical," the envoy said. Rowan nodded. "So was mocking a species that survives extinction for fun." The car envoy hesitated, then lowered its head slightly. "We propose a ceasefire," it said. "Conditional." Selrix's voice crackled over the comm. "Do not trust." Rowan raised a hand gently. "Conditional on what?" he asked. "On understanding human methods," the envoy replied. "Your chaos is effective." Rowan considered this. Then he did something unexpected. He laughed. "Not mocking. Not cruel. Just human. You don't want our chaos," he said. "You want our calm." The envoy's eyes flickered. "Explain." Rowan tapped his suit. "We build for failure. We expect things to break. So when they do, we're ready." He leaned forward slightly. "That's not chaos. That's humility." The car envoy was silent for a long moment. Then it bowed. The ceasefire was signed. Not because humanity was the strongest, but because humanity was unpredictable in the most dangerous way. They didn't need dominance. They needed understanding. When Rowan returned to Prisma, he wasn't greeted with applause. He was greeted with quiet respect. Selrix met him at the platform where it all began. "The Council wishes to commemorate you," she said. "A monument." Rowan groaned. "Please don't make it shiny." She tilted her head. "Why not?" "Because someone will laugh at it someday," Rowan said. "And that's okay." She looked at him carefully. "You were mocked. Endangered. Nearly killed." Rowan nodded. "And yet here we are." She asked the question that had followed her since the first laugh. "Why did your calm reply change me?" Rowan thought for a moment. "Because when you laughed," he said, "you expected anger, or shame." She nodded slowly. "I gave you something else," Rowan continued. "Confidence without arrogance. Strength without noise." Selrix exhaled. "The galaxy will never see humans the same way again." Rowan looked up at the stars, vast, dangerous, full of laughter waiting to happen. Good, he said softly. Neither will humans. Far across space, new stories began. Alien children learned human problem-solving games. Engineers designed systems meant to fail safely. Commanders trained for uncertainty. And whenever someone laughed at a human for being too small, too fragile, too imperfect, someone else remembered what happened last time. Humanity did not shout. Humanity did not boast. Humanity spoke calmly. And the universe listened. End.